welcome to another awesome Season 3 episode of the
Rockin House.
Today we have special guest Joe Riley, all the way from Indiana. He has actually this cool collectible store called the Road to the Past Collectibles, all the way in Cincinnati. And he also is going to hear to talk about his new project that he has, the Axeman Unleashed, right here. Rock dude.
Yeah, Axeman Unleashed has an all-star cast and ensemble that he's made friends over the years in the business. He started out as a young musician, around 12 years old, following his father's footsteps, which was country music. He started as a drummer and evolved into the incredible shredder guitar player that he is today. His thing is metal. He can record in the studio. He can play all the instruments, etc. He's like a Todd Rundgren style musician. Can do it all.
Very versatile. Yeah.
He's a big Randy Rhoads fan and Dimebag also.
Yep.
And we got little Ozzy signed photograph from my own collection. And we got the earliest known photograph down here of the band from '81, Ozzy's touring band. Tommy Aldridge and them guys. And then we got a nice Diary of a Madman 1982. That's when Don Airy joined the band. And just a couple of trinkets that I have as a serious collector myself, so I wanted to show the fans that.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, Joe's also, when he's not touring around the country or recording music or playing as a guest guitar player in other people's bands, he has his own vintage music store out in the Cincinnati area. So if you're out in Cincinnati, you want to check out some Star Wars collectibles, G.I. Joes, Tonka trucks, you got it. He's the man.
Yeah.
It's an incredible store, and serious collectors would love to just see what he has.
Yeah.
So that's what he does also besides the music. Since he's a shredder, he's on, he likes to play Ibanez guitars and Jacksons.
Yep.
He's actually working on an endorsement to get his own signature model coming up shortly, so there'll be details out on that soon, Mark.
Absolutely. That's right.
So yeah, from country to heavy metal, we got Joe Riley today, Mark.
Awesome. Let's bring on Joe Riley to the Rockin House. Welcome, Joe Riley, to the Rockin House. Welcome to another awesome episode of the Rockin House Season 3. We've got a good friend of mine. I became friends with this guy. We even did some work together, and we're going to do more future work together. Joe Riley is on the show today. Welcome, my brother, to the show, man, to the Rockin House. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thanks, my brother. Glad to be here, man.
Yeah, man. Well, look, let's start the show with how you became a musician. You know, what inspired you to become a musician, how young you were, who were some of the guitar players that you looked up upon, that, that made you become the guitar player you are today, and why you do what you do.
Cool, man. Cool. Man, it's a long story. I guess we can start there, brother. Believe it or not, I started out on drums, man. I didn't even start out on guitar. I started on drums when I was like 11 years old.
Nice.
And by the time I was 12, man, my dad played music. He was a writer out of Nashville. He lived in Cincinnati. We did a lot of writing for country artists out of Nashville.
Okay.
And so I played drums for him in like little bands around town, And I was like 12 years old playing my first bar gig doing drums. You know what I mean?
I love it, man.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But I started playing guitar around maybe 14.
Yep.
And I was in a bike accident, so I was laid up at the house. My knee was all wrapped up, and Dad had a guitar sitting in the corner. So he's like, hey, play that, if you want to do something to kill your time around the house. So I picked the guitar up, fell in love with it. Man, the rest is kind of history from that. But it's funny because I started at 14, but I fell in love with it so much. I was so passionate about it, like right away, that I just indulged myself. It was insane. I would go to school, come home, and literally from the time I got home till 11 o'clock at night, be playing guitar solid.
Love it.
And then I started competing in guitar competitions when I was 15 and started winning. By the time I was 17, I won number one in the nation guitar title.
That's amazing.
And 17 years old. Of course, this is back in the 80s, but it's just crazy how that it just consumed me. I couldn't get it out of my mind.
Wow.
And then from there, I basically started, jumped in bands. 15, 16 years old, playing in bands. By the time I was 18, I was playing some of the local bars, not even allowed to be in there, but they're sneaking me in,
I'm loving it. That's great.
I'm playing with dudes that are like 25, and they're like, I got this, 17-year-old kid playing guitar, but they can't tell anybody that I'm 17.
Right.
It was hilarious, man. Like, I'm opening up these like national bands, at like 17, 18 years old, not even knowing what the hell I'm doing, but
that's unbelievable.
Just doing the best I can. But
wow, some of the bands you opened up for were like who?
Back then, man, one of the funniest ones, what's the rock and roll hoochie coo guy?
Rick Derringer.
Yeah, I was 18 years old, man. I played this club, and
wow.
we were the house band the weekend before, and the club owner's like, "Hey, man, would you want to open up for Rick Derringer next weekend? He's coming in." So we did the stint opening for Rick. It's kind of funny, just things happen.
Yeah, well,
it's funny. At that time, I only knew the one song. So to me, Rick Derringer was rock and roll hoochie coo, and like he hated it, and I'm like, hoochie coo, man, hoochie coo. It was funny.
Awesome. So
I mean, literally from there, dude, I jumped, from band to band like everybody else, trying to find the right fit. And through like the 90s, man, the whole grunge thing took over. So the shred guitar thing that I was into,
nice.
Nobody really cared, but I went more of the Pantera routes, and all those kind of things. And you and I have the Pantera thing together, man. But
yes,
I went that route, so it was more metal with as much shred as I could get.
Yeah, man.
But around, I guess it was about 1993, I did my first big tour. And tour meaning we're in vans, but we're hitting everywhere outside of, I'm from Cincinnati area, so everywhere outside of Cincinnati we could hit.
Right.
Basically doing the I-75 runs, around here. But I remember being 18 and going to Chicago the first time and playing up there, just like freaking out, I'm out of town, I'm out. It's kind of cool how you grow up quick when you're doing that stuff,
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was around, I guess, 1996, I got an offer. It was ironically enough, I was in a band called Standing 8 Count, Cincinnati band. We had Metal Blade Records was interested in the band, but we had some turmoil with the singer and stuff, so it never really panned out.
Okay.
But I got pretty upset about it, I didn't really know what to do, and I had a guy come to me, a friend of mine, who came to me and said, "Hey, man, the Mr. Crowley, the Ozzy tribute band, the guy, Michael Ulp, who was the Ozzy guy.
Nice.
He had Ozzy and Sharon's blessing him, and they were giving him the backing and all that.
Nice.
And so they said, and he's looking for a guitar player. And I'm like, okay, I'm down. I'm a huge Randy Rhoads nut. You guys know that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the tat, man. I'm all about the Randy tat.
I know, that's amazing.
Yeah, so back then I looked like a Zakk Wylde, little Zakk Wylde. I'm not near as tall as him, but I had the long hair and the whole 9 yards, And so I went and auditioned for the gig, got it, and as soon as I got the gig, man, it was game on.
Wow.
I toured the country, man. At that point, I was on the road nonstop. We did, I would say, of every week in the year we were out. There was not really a week we weren't doing something. So,
wow. And that's for the tribute to Ozzy tour band.
Yeah, man. I did stuff. I was tribute to Rhoads to me. I was giving Randy everything I had to play what his stuff was. I mean, the other Ozzy stuff is great, but to me, it was to be able to honor Randy in that way I did. It's just amazing.
So that leads me to influences of guitar players. Obviously, Randy Rhoads is your guy.
Yeah, man. I mean, Randy. Like I said, the Pantera, Dimebag, man. I met Dimebag when I was young. And it was just an honor. It was the Cowboys from Hell tour. Yeah, he was playing a local club here in Cincinnati. I got to meet him outside. Just a great guy. And I mean, he's a huge influence. George Lynch. I mean, all those '80s shredders, man. I love them.
Nice.
But on the flip side of that, I love David Gilmour stuff. Nice. Pink Floyd.
Yeah, man.
Which I actually have Scotty Page from Pink Floyd on my album. He did the saxophone.
Wow. Awesome.
So, so I mean, the guys like that are a huge influence on me as well.
I'm loving
it. But ironically enough, talking about the career path. So I did the Ozzy tribute band for about 4.5 years. Okay. And we were traveling everywhere, but I got burnt out. Yeah. Because I realized every night, I'm doing these shows, but it's not me. I'm playing. Right. I'm playing somebody else.
Exactly. Yep.
And my name was said, but even when I came off stage, and they were calling me like Little Zach or hey Little Randy, and all this stuff. And I'm like, which I'm actually way bigger than Randy, but
right. He's a little dude. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were like, calling me those names. It kind of bothered me. I'm like, man, I want to be known for me. And I was always writing this material and stuff. So this is a true story. So the drummer and I from that band, the tribute band, we were up in Wisconsin in a hotel room. Okay. And we shared room together all the time on the road.
Nice.
And I looked at him and I was like, man, I'm just kind of burnt out on doing the Ozzy tribute. You know, I mean, I want to do something original. You know, and he said the same thing. So we looked at each other, and he actually said to me, he's like, why don't we do a country band? And I'm like, dude, I don't play country at all. You know, I mean, I'm like the farthest thing from a country guitar player there ever could be. You know,
So
and he was
funny.
not a country drummer. We're metal guys. You know,
Right, yeah.
But so we got done with that tour. I think we did a few more runs with them. We actually did a run with Quiet Riot at one point. We were out doing some promo work with that. But anyway, so we got back home, and he and I shared an apartment when we got back. And we started working on it, man. We put together this band called Liquid Fire, which is around 2000, early 2000s.
Nice.
And we did that for about 7 years. And that actually got us several record deals, actually led us up to Sony Records deal, you know,
Wow.
which was awesome. But it's funny because all the years I'd played before that, doing the heavy metal, I'd never been on an arena stage. I've never been on any of that.
Really?
Literally within 2 years of the Liquid Fire gig, I was doing these big events where I'm playing in front of 15,000 people on these stages. You know, It was amazing. But I was doing, what we did was we didn't do country. We were basically a rock band with a country singer. You know, and that it's funny because all these bands that came out after that, you know, because we did a lot in Nashville.
Right.
And like Jason Aldean, all these big country stars are out there. Those guys were not really doing anything, but we were, you know.
Gotcha.
So they were. I think they were taking notice of what I was trying to bring to the table. Not saying I started that whole movement,
right?
But I'm telling you, we were ahead of the game. You know what I mean?
I'm loving it.
So we got it. We did it pretty good, and then that ran its toll, man. It did 7 years of that, and then it went south. I left that, and I started my own thing. Actually the album that I just put out. I started working on that years ago. You know, you're talking back in like 2009.
Right.
I started putting together tracks for it, but I didn't really have the musicians around me. The drummer that's on my album now, he was actually there. He was with me in that incarnation then. But we just couldn't find the musicians I needed, like you and I talked, just trying to find the players, man.
Yep.
But then I got an offer to join a band called the Mighty Swine, which was the bass player from David Chastain's band. Everybody knows who Chastain is.
Okay.
JSS and all that. It was the Mike Skimmerhorn. He was the bass player and singer in that. They approached me and asked me to do that gig. So I wrote an album with them. We dropped the Lust video online. You can pull that up on YouTube.
Nice.
And it did pretty well, you know. But there was some record label interest in there that was, I'd say interest. It was more or less, there was bad record deal.
Yeah.
So literally, my royalties and my publishing was kind of lost, even though I was writing the material. So I just felt it best I leave that scenario before it went south any more than it had to.
Right.
And then I got an offer from Adam Tucker, which is a dear friend of mine. He's out of Las Vegas.
Okay.
He actually contacted me. He was on Sony. He was a country player. You know, he had a song on the charts back in the day.
Okay.
Called Redneck Girl. But anyway, so he contacted me and said, hey, man, I need a guitar player, you know, and to do some touring with. And I stuck it with him for 9 years as a hired gun.
Okay.
We traveled, you know, as much of the world we could, you know. And
awesome.
And like I said, up until a few years ago, I stepped out of that because I really wanted to pursue more my taste and more original stuff for me. So I basically started the Stitch Pig Revival, and I had Gary Jeffries from Asphalt Ballet back in the day. He was my singer. The drummer from the Stitch Pig Revival was actually the drummer from the Mighty Swine.
Okay.
We put that together, released an album a couple years ago. It did good, you know. It's still getting some radio play overseas. Didn't do as great as we wanted it to, but sadly enough, we dropped it right as COVID hit.
Wow.
And COVID, it's like it was the worst timing ever because literally the month that we dropped it was the month that COVID hit everything. So it shut down any touring and all that.
Well, Joe, let's come back after this small break and talk about your awesome store that you have with all the Star Wars stuff and other cool collectibles. And, of course, we'll talk about what's going on now with Joe Riley. And we'll come back with that in just a minute. We'll be talking about it.
Don't make me say it. Please don't make me say it.
again, and I'm back with Joe Riley. Wow, what a cool first segment. We just discussed some really cool stuff. Let's talk about a little bit like, what you do when you're off the road. We talked about it. You have like this collectible store that like has a lot of cool Star Wars things and many other type of collectibles. Let's talk a little bit about that and maybe how people can find the store even online, if they want to purchase some of these collectibles from you.
Cool. Dude, I'm a nerd at heart, man. I might be a shredder, but I love the toys, dude. It's funny because I started collecting like 30 years ago. I got out of high school and hadn't thought about toys at all. It hit me like I'm a big Star Wars geek. So I started buying the Star Wars up, man. About 7 years ago, I decided to open up a toy store in Cincinnati. So it's called Road to the Past Collectibles. So, when I'm not on the road and I'm not in the studio, I'm not doing those things, you can find me over there,
Nice.
But it's cool, man, because we carry all kinds of like 70s, 80s vintage toys, from Star Wars, G.I. Joe, all the cool stuff that we grew up as kids with.
Yeah.
Transformers, all that cool stuff, And it's in Cincinnati, which is like the hub for all the Kenner and the Hasbros and all those big toy stores, man, or toy companies. So I do that when I'm not here, man.
Your location's perfect. You couldn't get a better location out of the store.
Literally. I mean, all you got to do is just Google Road to the Past Collectibles Cincinnati, and it's going to pop up.
And we'll get this information for you guys too later in the show, for sure, so you know where this is, how you can reach them online, all the information to get in touch with Joe. Absolutely. Let's talk about what's in development now. You said this new album, which is killer. Yeah. I mean, Face Down rocks. There's other songs I've listened to, killer. Let's talk about where that's starting to head for you now that you're doing your own thing. You're feeling more about, this is me, this is Joe Riley. Hey, world, this is what I want you to check out now.
Yeah. Well, let me talk about that. So what got me doing that, like I said, back in years ago, I started this idea of a solo album.
Okay.
But then, last year, it kind of got to the point where I'm like, I just want to do my own thing. I've written hundreds of songs. I have a home studio. Nice. I've got everything I need to do my own album. Yeah. I just needed the players. Well, then I thought, well, hell with it. I've got a drummer. I'll play everything else if I need to, and I'll play the bass and all that. Yep. And I never was a front man. I've always been a guitar player. I've sang lead on a few things here and there, but I never did front a band as a vocalist.
Right.
So I thought, I'm going to give it a shot. This is a point in life where I'm just ready to do it.
Right.
So I put it out there last year. I was going to do a solo album. I had a lot of guys reaching out to me, man. A lot of big name rockers, man.
Love it.
And just want to be a part of it with me. Like, hey, man, we've been following you for years. I want to help you. Let's do something, And several of them came out of the woodwork, and actually they did. They helped. On the album, I've got everybody from Tony Franklin from The Firm and Whitesnake and all that. Tony's on there with me.
That's awesome.
Scott Page from Pink Floyd stepped in and did some saxophone work on I Own the Crossroads, which is beautiful. I had Steve Feldman from Iron Butterfly. He was in the late 80s version of Iron Butterfly, but he stepped in and did some songs with me.
Nice.
So yeah, man, it's huge, And then the guys that are in the band in general are just phenomenal now.
Wow.
I got Greg Sloan's playing drums. He used to play with the band Moth. They were on Virgin for a while. I got Davey Pikovich. Davey played with Nitro with Michelangelo. He was with them back in the day.
Nice.
So Davey's my bass player, man. Davey's a beast. So between those two guys is my rhythm section. You can't go wrong, I got a keyboard player, Ty Holiday. She is phenomenal. And then I got my actually executive producer who helped with a lot of things with the album, Justin Sims. He was actually my guitar student for about 15 years.
Wow.
But he's become a prodigy to me, but he's also just a dear friend. And he stepped in and said, man, I want to be a part of helping the album see its fruition,
Love it.
So he stepped in, and then his guitar playing was so good. I'm like, well, you want to play rhythm guitar for me? Next thing I know, he's in the band. So it's like,
love it.
So the band's just kicking ass, man. There's no getting around it.
And let's talk about, we'll go back to Randy Rhoads, and I know you have something on the back there that if you wanted to show people is cool.
Yeah, man. I'll turn the computer a little bit so you can see. So if you see in the background, I'm a huge Randy Rhoads.
Gotta love that. Look at that.
That's my Randy Rhoads collection over here. So basically, with the Randy stuff, the white V you see in the background, right above my shoulder here, this one.
Yeah.
When I was in the Ozzy tribute band, that's the guitar I played. Man, I played a guitar every night on the road. You're talking 20-something years ago at this point.
I'm loving it. Gotta love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Randy's a huge influence to me. He always will be. Yeah. Since day one, I heard Crazy Train when I was a kid, and I was like, that's what I got to play guitar like. I got to be that guy.
Yeah.
So, but I've been fortunate enough to get to know his family, get to spend time with them. I talked to his sister, Kathy, here and there.
Awesome.
They basically welcomed my wife and I into their lives last year when we went out and visited him in LA.
Awesome.
And so it kind of happened there. And speaking of that, you know, I was in the Guitar World magazine, you know,
Yes,
2 months
let's
ago.
talk about that. That's amazing.
Well,
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. And what was crazy about that was, you know, I had no idea that Randy Rhoads was going to be on the cover. Matter of fact, I've got a copy here.
Wow.
It's so it's this mag.
Wow.
You know, and it's the commemorative issue. And I had no idea I was going to be on the cover until literally like 3 weeks before it came out. But the crazy part was, I don't know if anybody's seen this, but yeah, this is me in there.
Oh, yeah.
So, there it is.
I got that signed by you, brother.
Yeah, hooked you up, brother. So anyway, a couple things about that though. You know, we were out there last year hanging out with his family, and literally 1 year exactly to the day, that issue shipped out where he's on. It's a commemorative issue about him, but I'm in it. I mean, you can't. It's like it was karma. You know what I mean? It had to be.
How can you get better than that when you're a huge Randy fan and you're involved in something with him?
I'll be honest with you, man. That's bucket list stuff for me. My goal, my wife will tell you that my goal for this album was I wanted to release my own album, try to get some exposure from it, but I wanted to be in that magazine. You know, I wanted a full page in that magazine.
You did it, man.
A year later, here we are. You know what I mean? So I feel blessed, and I thank anybody and everybody that helped make it happen. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to come back with Joe Riley, keeping that thought, and talk about his new album he's released out and what's happening in the future. Don't go anywhere. All right, it's Mark to see you again. We're back as we're closing out our show with Joe Riley. Again, it was awesome being able to have you come to the show finally. We were able to schedule you in, and all these amazing things we already talked about that is going on in your life.
We forgot about the action figure.
Oh, let's tell them about that. That's so awesome. Joe's got his own action figure. It's so awesome. That has to do with the music he's writing. It's so cool. Check this out, man. Look at that.
Check that out. So that's the artwork for the card.
Love it.
And then here's the figure.
That's so cool, man.
How cool is that, man?
Oh, you gotta love it, dude. Come on, you have
it's
a
the dude from the album cover, man. There he is on the album cover.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
How cool is that?
That's amazing, dude. You're moving up, man. You were getting there. When you got a figure of you, that's it, man. Something's going on. Your Guitar World magazine, dude. Yeah, man, you're up there. That's killer, killer. And
thank you.
You know, this album's killer. We got Face Down, Rocks.
Thank you.
You know, you're doing well on YouTube. I'm seeing, you know, you're getting views. You know, things are starting to happen for this album. Let's talk about the inspiration of the album. Like, where's it going for the future? What's in the future for Joe Riley?
Man, I tell you what. For this, I want to tour. I want to get out there and I want to get people to hear it. I want them to see it and feel it live because the album has so much energy itself.
Yeah.
But like I can tell you from this is the first time I would honestly say this is the best band I've ever been a part of.
Love
because in that room when we rehearsed, man, the energy of that album is so much more live than it ever was on the recording.
You guys got killer chemistry.
Yeah, I got to get it out there, man. And that's what we're doing now. You know, we're rehearsing. We're getting ready. Our first tour date comes up soon. It's October 22nd, and we're actually playing up in Ohio.
Nice.
But the goal is to get tour dates rolling after that and just hit the road and put it out there, man. Get ready to pick it up more and more. Right now, I've got like 64 stations around the world playing it.
Nice.
You know, the more I can get, the better it is, man. The more help's out there.
I love it. I love it. And of course, you know, we've been talking since we know we can actually work together as musicians. We've talked about let's put something together in 2023. I've got some people working on that. So I'm excited.
You and I will be doing tour in 2023. I promise you. Yeah.
If nothing stops it, I'm down, man. It's got to happen, man. I feel like you. I got to do it. I got to do this because it's what I've been here to do. It's what you've been here to do. Mm-hmm. This is it. It's got to happen.
Yeah,
and I'm excited about it, man. When's the album drop, or it's already out?
It's out, man. It hit in June. Yeah, right now it's on 112 different platforms, streaming, download, Amazon, Spotify, everywhere you look, it's going to be out there.
Loving it.
Hard copies, if you want a hard copy, it's in select record stores. You know what few are left.
Nice.
I don't have major distribution going right now in like Walmart or anything because they're not buying small
Right.
package deals like I'm offering. But I do have it available. Like if you stop at my toy store, it's available there for a hard copy.
Hell
But it's
yeah.
also available on the website, and it's just joerileymusic.com.
Love it.
You can order a hard copy there. And then every show we play, I'll make sure that I have 500 CDs with me at every show, and I'll hand sign them. The band will sign whatever you want.
Loving it.
We'll offer as much as we can. So
were you
it's
thinking?
out there.
Were you also thinking about putting it on vinyl? Because that's been a pretty hot
Yeah, I'll tell
commodity
you
these
what.
days.
It's funny you bring that up. So I did actually order the vinyl. Vinyl is coming.
Yeah, cool.
I just literally this past week I got a message back from the manufacturer because the CD was mastered hot. Like all the rest. Like when we're up there with Metallica and these guys as far as mastering.
Yeah, man.
To master for the actual LP, they wanted me to remaster it and maybe pull the dBs down so they can get the vinyl to work. And then also there's a time restraint on the album too per side. And my album actually is 2 minutes longer than what the vinyl package I bought was.
Really?
So I have to do
Okay.
a little bit of editing on it. So we're going to try to hit the studio here next few weeks,
Nice.
get that done, and
Nice.
then resubmit that material back to get the LPs done. But I'm hoping by Christmas time I'll have those available, and they'll be available on the website and at all shows too.
Very awesome, man. Well, you know what? I think this is a good way to end our show today, Joe. We talked about a lot of things in a short bit of time, and we got it all in there nicely. I want to thank you for coming to the show. I'm looking
Thank
forward to
you.
working with you in the future that we talked
Yes.
about. We're going to make this happen. It's exciting. And, that's how this business is. We're all like a big family, man. Once you get in this business, it's like a big community of rock and roll. It's crazy how this person knows that person knows it. It's just the way it works, man. But like I said, man, me and Rock really do appreciate you coming to the show today.
Thank you.
And talking about, what's going on for the future with Joe Riley now doing your thing, not doing, a tribute band. So
Yeah.
I want to say, okay, there's one other thing that I do want to ask you is about the one guitar. What is the main guitar that would be your favorite ultimate guitar to play? Like, what brand is your thing? Is it Ibanez? It's to see Ibanez a lot, and I love Ibanez myself.
Yeah.
Is that your main one? Do you have an endorsement with Ibanez?
Man, I had one back in the day. I had a
You
cost
did?
endorsement with them,
Nice.
but I don't anymore.
Okay.
And I mean, you're talking years ago.
Gotcha.
Honestly, I don't really have a favorite. I've got the Firefly brand guitar. They're a new company that just came out, and they contacted me and they sent me one of their guitars. I actually played it in the Face Down video.
Nice.
They're
Okay.
working on some prototypes to send me because for a possible endorsement there.
Nice.
They're working on a custom shop thing, which is like not off the shelf stuff you'd buy, but
Right.
I'm considering working with them if they send me the right thing. Right now, I'm going to be traveling with probably. I'm an Ibanez, Jackson, all those shredder guitars,
yeah.
Carvel. Those are my babies, man. I got 83 of them in my collection behind me.
Nice.
But reality is, you'll see me on stage with those. But if the Firefly brand comes through or any other, I've got a few other endorsement things coming in.
It'll start
If
showing
any
up.
of those hit and give me what I want, you might see my name on one of those down the road. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So there we
Yeah.
go. We got an endorsement that's in the works right now. That's a future thing going as well. So with that being said, again, awesome for talking about that. And again, thank you for coming to the Rockin House. I'm Marky Z, my partner, Rock Dude. And I'm